Britain at boiling point. From Epping to Bristol, streets erupt as anti-migrant protests flare outside asylum hotels. Flags waving, tempers surging, police caught in the middle. The flashpoint, the Bell Hotel, where a court-ordered eviction collides with STARME'S government's vow to fight back. With 32,000 asylum seekers housed in hotels and a backlog topping 100,000 cases, immigration is no longer a debate. It's a national crisis. Anti-migrant protests across Britain continued on August 25th outside hotels housing asylum seekers, a day after police were forced to separate demonstrators and counter-protesters in multiple cities as tensions flared over immigration policies. On August 24th, demonstrations outside asylum hotels saw protesters clash with police as the government set out plans to accelerate the appeals process for refugees whose claims are rejected. The latest round of demonstrations followed weeks of protests outside the Bell Hotel in Epping, on the outskirts of London, after a hotel resident allegedly tried to kiss a 14-year-old girl and was charged with sexual assault. The man has denied the accusation and is due to stand trial later this month. Epping Forest District Council won a temporary injunction to shut down the hotel because of unprecedented levels of protest and disruption, which had led to several arrests. The two groups hurled insults at each other in several communities on August 23rd as police struggled in places like Bristol to keep them apart. There were more than a dozen arrests, but no serious violence was reported. Protesters also waved British flags and held placards that read, "Epping says no" and "Stop the boats." The flashpoint remains the Bell Hotel in Epping, where a court last week ordered asylum seekers to be evicted after weeks of angry protests and the arrest of a resident charged with sexual assault. Earlier on August 21st, a court ruling ordered the removal of asylum seekers from the Bell Hotel in Epping, which has become a flashpoint for anti-immigration protests. The Labour government has vowed to appeal that decision. The British broadcaster BBC asylum seekers living in hotels in the southeast say they are in a state of constant anxiety amid nationwide demonstrations. BCC reports, citing one of the asylum seekers who has been living in a Surrey hotel for 3 years since fleeing persecution in Tanzania. "Each of us is very afraid to leave. We are here for peace and to establish normal lives." The UK Home Office said work continued to close all asylum hotels by the end of this Parliament. Britain currently houses around 32,000 asylum seekers in hotels, a system costing taxpayers billions annually. Immigration has now overtaken the economy as voters' top concern, according to recent polling, placing Prime Minister Keir Starmer under mounting political pressure. On August 24th, the government unveiled reforms to accelerate asylum appeals and reduce the backlog of more than 100,000 cases, a move aimed at phasing out hotel use. Under the plans, an independent body of adjudicators would be created to handle asylum appeals and reduce the backlog of 106,000 cases, including 51,000 appeals with average wait times exceeding a year. But as protests intensify, the politics of immigration remain volatile, underscoring the challenge facing Britain's new government as it balances public anger with its legal duty to shelter those fleeing war, poverty, and persecution. As pressure mounts on Starmer's government over small boat immigration and asylum hotels, the party vows to fast-track asylum appeals. Britain's Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, on August 24th, said a new fast-track appeals system would see decisions made more quickly, curtailing the spiralling backlog in the courts and helping Labour meet its promise to end the use of asylum hotels.
We inherited an asylum system in complete chaos with a soaring backlog of asylum cases and a broken appeals system with thousands of people in the system for years on end. That is why we are taking practical steps to fix the foundations and restore control and order to the system.
Labour has promised to end the use of asylum hotels by the next general election, but critics, including Labour MPs, have called for Cooper to bring forward the plans and remove migrants from hotels sooner. Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch have called for their use, which is costing taxpayers billions and stoking tensions in communities to end immediately. The Reform UK leader will unveil a plan for the mass deportation of migrants on August 26th as he seeks to pile pressure on Labour over the issue. Meanwhile, on August 24th, a council leader said that protests which took place the day before in Perth were sparked by completely false claims of further asylum hotels opening in the area. Grant Lang, the SNP leader of Perth and Kinross Council, told BBC Scotland's Sunday Show radio programme.
A lot of this in Perth started off 2 or 3 weeks ago when there was a claim there was another hotel, or 2 hotels going to be used for housing asylum seekers. Completely false.
The use of asylum hotels has increased in the past year under Labour, with critics warning that they are becoming flashpoints in communities and trapping migrants in limbo. The leader of the main opposition Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, urged Tory councils all over the country to launch legal challenges similar to that of Epping if their legal advice allowed. Meanwhile, the UK government's priority is to sharply decrease the number of dangerous channel crossings.
There have been more than 27,000 unauthorized arrivals so far this year, nearly 50% higher than at the same point last year, and ahead of the number at this time of year in 2022, when a record 45,755 came ashore.
Immigration has become a political flashpoint, as countries across the West try to cope with an influx of migrants seeking a better life as they flee war-torn countries, poverty, regions, racked by climate change or political persecution. The UK government is also looking to speed up processing asylum claims. It's hoping a deal with France to send migrants who cross the Channel back to France will deter others. Whether those plans succeed, the issue of what to do with the tens of thousands of asylum seekers in the country remains.